So Clinical Laser Systems is a company that provides image-guided treatment systems for minimally invasive surgical procedures. I'd like to introduce you to the company and to our operations in this presentation. Also talk to you a bit about the upcoming rights issue the company has here in June. We are an international commercial stage medical technology provider. We have subsidiaries in Europe, US, and in Singapore. The company develops and markets patent-protected laser-based treatment systems for precise thermal destruction of disease-generating or deceased tissue, what is otherwise called ablation or tissue ablation. We sell our systems directly or through commercial partners in the different regions where we are active. Our systems are used for minimally invasive procedures with image guidance, and that eliminates the need for open surgery with its associated limitations and complications. We focus on treatment of localized prostate cancer within the segment of urology and on brain tumors and drug-resistant epilepsy within the market segment of neurosurgery. These segments have significant unmet clinical needs where CLS is focusing. On the right-hand side here on the image, you can see the three different systems that we market and sell. We have the systems under the brand Tronberg, which are marketed and sold within the urology segment for ablation of localized prostate cancer. On the right-hand side, you can see the ClearPoint Prism neurolaser therapy system, which is marketed and sold for lit procedures within the neurosurgery market segment. At the bottom, you can see two examples of our disposable sterile laser applicators. There's one to the left, which is a larger applicator that produces larger ablations, and to the right, you can see a more spherical ablation volume, which is for smaller tumors and smaller targets. In order for our systems to be able to integrate with our customers' image guidance technologies, it could be either scanners of the MRI type or scanners of ultrasound type, or it could be technologies for navigation and positioning of instruments deep inside the body, or it could be for fusion of imaging taken by an MRI technology and fused onto an ultrasound technology to augment and improve the image guidance. We collaborate with different companies such as Siemens and GE and Imerys in the MR scanners segment. We work with ClearPoint, Soteria Medical, and Zivco for navigation and positioning technologies, and GE in ultrasound, and Philips and Focalix. The latter is an American-based company with image fusion technologies. The company's strategy and business model is not that different from many other medical device companies. In terms of our long-term strategy, that is to establish our product portfolio globally for minimally invasive tissue ablation using image guidance, and to establish this as an attractively reimbursed or paid, safe and cost-effective standard treatment that replaces primarily open surgical procedures and active surveillance. Active surveillance is more of a wait-and-see approach, primarily due to that open surgical procedures are associated with side effects. Our business model is to create recurring revenues from either procedure fees or sales of our sterile disposable products, as well as either through leasing, or actually also through leasing and service agreements. The company near-term goal is to establish our portfolio within the US, Europe, and Asian Pacific regions. And that is mainly in the urology and neurosurgery market segments. And doing so through collaborations with key opinion leaders in each one of these segments and our commercial partners, supported by clinical evidence and the existing reimbursement. We're going to take a half step back and have a look at the patient perspective and the unmet needs that are found within surgical treatment of prostate cancer and brain lesions in today's practice. So if you're a prostate cancer patient, that means you have been diagnosed with a prostate cancer. And the recommendation from your doctor is to just wait, watch how it progresses. It's a just and wait and see and monitor that the tumor does not grow or spread into other parts of the body. This is the current recommendation for many patients that are diagnosed with what's called localized prostate cancer. And this is called active surveillance. Almost 50% of patients that are diagnosed with localized prostate cancer gets this recommendation. You might get another option if you're a prostate cancer patient. You can get the option to treat the tumor using radiation or remove the entire prostate using surgery. This is called a radical treatment. Both alternatives are effective in removing the tumor, but there is a risk of severe long-term side effects, and that is substantial. 2 patients out of 10 experience incontinence after a radical treatment. Up to 7 patients out of 10 experience impotence, erectile dysfunction after radical treatment. These are side effects, complications that few patients can accept. Even so, 55% of the patients are recommended surgery as a treatment for their prostate cancer. Now, what if there was an effective therapy offering treatment of the cancer with minimum negative effects on quality of life, without the need for the open surgery or the radiation that is today offered as radical treatment, a therapy that can be performed in a doctor's office setting, not in an OR? It's a treatment that can be completed in a time less than 2 hours, and with a short recovery time and minimal risks of side effects. Another perspective, a similar one, is now if you are diagnosed with having a brain tumor, the tumor may not be malignant, but it's growing rapidly and is located deep into your brain, close to sensitive vital function. One can argue that all structures of the brain would be sensitive and have vital functions. Now, removing the tumor using open surgery is not an option in your case because it's so deeply located in the brain, so the risks are high and the outcome would be unpredictable. Now, also in this scenario, imagine if there is a therapy that makes it possible to reach and remove your tumors or other diseased tissue with minimal risk of damaging surrounding healthy tissue, or even treat patients where doctors today are not able to use surgery because it's too hard to reach. It could be either tumors or it could be drug-resistant epilepsy patients with the foci located deep inside the brain. Now, coming from that scenario and that description of where there are unmet needs, CLS is now offering to the market products that offers the doctors the possibility of treating patients without using open surgery, but using our system and integrated with image guiding equipment. So we're going to take a look at CLS products and markets, and starting with the urology market and our systems that have been developed for treatments of prostate cancer. We have 2 different treatment systems that are optimized for the prostate cancer patients. One system that is designed for use with ultrasound guidance, augmented with an MRI image of the patient's prostate and tumor. The augmentation there is called fusion. So this is fusion-guided focused laser ablation of prostate cancer. It's the system up to the left here in this image. To the right, we have a more advanced system that has been developed for and integrates with the customer's MRI scanner. It uses the sequences that are special for creating data that could be converted into temperature maps. So with those sequences, we can present on our system the exact temperature development within the region of interest where we are ablating in the prostate tissue. And the resulting ablation can be presented also on the same screen as a volume of ablation done. With this information, it makes it secure and effective for the operator to perform the entire ablation. I'm going to show you real quickly what a setup could look like. And this is a small video showing you, or I should say an animation, showing you what our system would look like in a doctor's office setting. You have the Schönberg laser unit on its table here, and as the lid opens up, you can see that it's equipped with two screens on which the operator can monitor the procedure. We have the sterile disposable equipment on a sterile tray. The patient is located with his legs up in this position. There is a transrectal ultrasound probe located in the rectum, and there is a grid located in a navigation system. Now, these are all the equipment necessary for performing this kind of procedure. Now, with a pre-planning software and the imaging of the prostate, one could provide, or one could generate a pre-planning schedule that will then translate the location of the prostate to coordinates on this grid. And by using those coordinates to guide the instruments into the prostate and into the tumor, we can position them very exactly according to the treatment plan that has been previously made. Now, positioning the introducer within which we have the laser applicator, and next to that, we position a temperature probe. With this location in the tumor, we are now ready to start the treatment. Laser light is being directed from our laser unit through the laser applicator and through its aperture, which is optimized for spreading the laser light inside the tumor to treat a big volume of the tumor, as big as possible. Now, if the tumor is larger than the volume we can treat with one shot, we can replace and reposition the laser applicator and the temperature probe for doing the treatment one more time to create the coverage necessary for the entire tumor. Once the complete procedure has been done, the instruments are removed and the whole treatment has been finalized. Typically, this kind of treatment takes approximately 1.5 hours to 2 hours from start to finish. The patient has local anesthesia only and is not sedated. This is what's called an outpatient procedure, and the patient can go home after just a few hours of observation at the hospital or at the prostate center. Now, the systems are in use and are being sold on the US market today. This is one example of one of the users today that have been using our system, also in a clinical trial, who finds the system to be very easy to use and very exact in its treatment. We have the other system that I mentioned, which is on the MR, developed with the MR guidance. For time reasons, I will not go through the entire procedure in an image like I just did for this procedure here, but it has a similar feedback from the users. It is a very precise and easy to use system. And the expectations and the experiences we have so far from our clinical trials really show that the comorbidities when you're using the system for ablation of the prostate is almost not existing. Looking at the urology market opportunity for us for treating of localized prostate cancer, which I mentioned before, is the targeted indication in urology. There's about 1.4 million new cases globally every year that are diagnosed with prostate cancer. The market in Europe and US combined has a value of about $35 billion, and it grows with roughly 10% each year, and expected to do so until 2027. The targeted customers for us would be hospitals, but more importantly, private clinics with substantial prostate programs. Particularly in the US market, we see a trend where the patient and the patients are going through diagnosis, through imaging, as well as biopsies. All those patients, I would say 75% of all those patients are being diagnosed and biopsied in smaller prostate or imaging centers, and they can have substantial volumes. Those are the customers, clinics that we target on the US market. In Europe, it is more towards hospitals. If we now look at our products and the market within neurosurgery, where we focus on the treatment of brain lesions. Here we have a system that we have developed together with our partner, ClearPoint Neuro, and this system is branded ClearPoint Prism Neurolaser Therapy System. This system, as you can see on the image here, has been developed for use within an MRI scanner. The image to the right is ClearPoint Neuro's neuro navigation system, SmartFrame, which is the disposable component that are being used to localize and to navigate and position the laser applicator inside the brain. CLS has been doing a clinical trial together with Skåne University Hospital since almost a year back. Now, we have finalized the first 5 initial patients in that study. We've expanded the study with another up to 10 patients on the request from the hospital. And working together with the doctors and the team at Skåne University Hospital has really been an interesting experience to us. The feedback from the hospital and the team has been extremely positive for CLS, and the use of their expertise in our product in MR-guided procedure, together with ClearPoint Neuro's neuro navigation system, has really opened a new possibility for the hospital, and they will continue working with this type of MR-guided lit procedures, particularly in patients that are suffering from glioblastoma, which is a very aggressive type of cancer in the brain. Now, that urinary surgery market that I talk about here, the market opportunity for treatment of brain tumors and drug-resistant epilepsy, which is the other part of that segment, which is of interest to us. If you look at the US market only to start with, there's approximately, combine these two, more than 40,000 cases each year, 26,000 cases of glioblastoma, and 15,000 cases of drug-resistant epilepsy. But in addition to that, there is a large group that have untreated disease with drug-resistant epilepsy. It's 100 to 200,000 patients only in the US that have untreated disease, which would be a target group for us. We expect to see the numbers of treatments going up on this market towards 10,000 patient procedures each year, and we're going to be actively taking part of that development. Here we're targeting hospitals mainly, as these are specialized treatments and specialized healthcare. Now, looking a little bit forward, CLS is now positioned for growth. We have today a second generation of product with a market clearance in Europe and in the US. We have submissions ongoing also in Asian Pacific, specifically in Singapore. We have intellectual property, we have in-licensed key technologies. We have an ongoing generation of clinical evidence with key opinion leaders, both in Europe and the US, for all our products in all market segments. We have established our partnerships with ClearPoint Neuro and also recently with Soteria Medical in the urology segment. We have initial sales already started off in the US market with ClearPoint Neuro in neurosurgery. We have reimbursement codes in place in neurosurgery and urology. We're not happy with them. We're working on increasing payment levels in the US, but we have them established. So we think we are in a good position for growth as a company. Now, we aim to generate a positive operational cash flow in 2025. This is our ambition. Also, an ambition to reach 100 million SEK in sales in 2025. The majority of that, we believe, will come from US, with the EU starting out to ramp up by the end of 2024. Now, urology segment will be our largest sales driver. More than 65% of the revenues are expected to come from the urology segment. The main income source are disposables or treatment fees, as I mentioned earlier on. We also estimate to be positive on the EBITDA in 2025. We have very competitive gross profit margins and an attractive pricing model for our end customers, which motivates this ambition. We're also working on tight spending control and selective investments in our commercial setup, and we have cost efficiency projects ongoing in the company. Major milestones for 23 for the company is to restructure our capital and securing a more long-term financing to finance the growth plan going forward. Now we have, I'm going to come back to that shortly, but we have a rights issue coming up here in June that we have communicated already. That's part of our restructuring of capital and securing long-term financing. We're expecting to have market clearances in Asian Pacific, starting in Singapore in 2023 to be able to ramp up also in the Asian Pacific. Scale up sales and supply chain operations to reach growth ambitions is another important goal to us, to make sure that we have a supply chain that can feed products into the expected increase in sales volumes. We're also working on expanding our market clearances in US on our MR-based system to also include prostate and not only neuro. So from a market launch perspective, we started launching into the US market last year in neurosurgery. And we have a goal from our perspective, from CLS perspective, to establish at least 4 to 6 installations in US in prominent neurosurgery centers. We also have an ambition to place at least 6 to 8 systems in urology centers in the US, Europe, and Asian Pacific for either MR or MR-fused guided FLA procedures in the prostate cancer patients. Now, the outlook for 24 towards the 25 ambitions will include us to increase, obviously, and continue scaling up sales and our supply chain, but also to work on the reimbursement, particularly in the urology segment for treatment of prostate cancer with FLA. Here we want to ramp up the reimbursement, and we think we can do that already in 24. We also have an optimization of the company operation in terms of its organization and its facility that we are working on, making sure that we're not too small, not too large in the operation, in the organization, or in our facilities, so we have a lean operation of the company that meets the needs. And also then expanding geographically in 24 in Europe and APAC region through additional market clearances. And obviously continue to establish additional installations to drive the generation of revenues. So really, just to recap and look at an executive summary of the company, see it as more of an investment highlights of the company. We are an international commercial stage medical device company. We provide a tissue ablation system for efficient image-guided, minimally invasive surgical treatments. We have competitive gross profit margins and attractive pricing model for our end customers. We have supporting and clinical evidence. We have ongoing clinical trials with key opinion leaders. We have already established CE marks, 510(k) clearances. We have intellectual properties. We have reimbursement in place. We have an ambition to reach 100 million second revenues and positive cash flow in 25. For the reasons of financing our plans going forward, and also to make the company debt-free, we have communicated that we have an ambition, we have an aim to do a rights issue of units in June 23 of approximately 135 million SEK, which is now guaranteed to 75%, with attached warrants of TO56B to be executed in Q1 2024 of approximately 50 million SEK. Now, this is just to give you some highlights on CLS and an introduction to CLS. And obviously, we hope that you will join our efforts in giving tomorrow's cancer and urology patients access to new improvement treatment options. Thank you very much for listening to me.